Y'all, let me just say this. If your real life actions are mirrored in any way in an episode of South Park, it's not looking good for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea with Bree. This is a place where we get cozy, we light the candles, we grab our tea, and we girly goss. We cover a whole range of subjects, and today, the tea I'm bringing you is lemon ginger, and it's piping hot, honeys. All right, let's get comfortable. Today's topic, Disney. This is a story that truly blew my mind, and not in a good way. So essentially, let me set the scene for you. You have a husband and a wife. They want to go to Disney, as many do in the summer. But the wife has a pretty terrible allergy to nuts and perhaps also a little bit of dairy. And so she's like scoping out, as we women do, the restaurants ahead of time, okay? She's thinking like, what can I eat? What can I not eat? And she finds this restaurant at Disney that calls itself allergen-free. It's advertised on the website as a restaurant that is great and welcoming and perfect for people with food allergies, so you would assume they would take that shit pretty seriously. So anyway, there's a ton of different news sources, news outlets reporting on this right now, as we can see here. And essentially, the woman doing her due diligence, I'm not gonna mention her name, but you can look up this story, you can find out more details if you want, but essentially she called ahead to the restaurant and was like, listen, I have pretty significant food allergies, we're going to Disney, like, is this actually a place I can go and eat? Because as people with food allergies know, my boyfriend has one, it's a pain. So anyway, she calls ahead, she does her due diligence, and they go to the park. They end up eating at this restaurant, and she confirms, like, with the hostess, with the server, like, this is allergen free, right? I have a very significant food allergy. And they're like, yes, rest assured, it is allergen free. I believe hers didn't have like the specific, those little like flags on toothpicks that they put in some allergy free food at certain restaurants. It didn't have that in it, but her server assured her over and over that this food was completely fine, honey. Well, cue to 45 minutes later, and a terrible case of anaphylactic shock and hospitalization and death. Terrible, horrible, heartbreaking to just go on a vacation and to do all of the research and all of the work beforehand to try and make good decisions for yourself and to still get completely screwed over. Needless to say, her husband is now filing a wrongful death suit on her behalf. And a wrongful death suit is basically just saying that like there are people responsible for this death. And he's naming Disney in the suit because the restaurant is at a Disney park. Like, it's their responsibility. So you would think. And y'all, I gotta be real. This is where the story gets batshit crazy. It seems very obvious. It's like Disney messed up. This place was supposed to have no allergen food. Allergens were clearly present. And so they are going to now have to pay someone to go to court, blah, blah, blah. No, Disney would say incorrect, actually. If you ever dated someone terrible, you know that sometimes the things that they do, you're just like, the audacity. Like, where do you get the audacity? Where do you get off on thinking this is okay? Disney is that toxic partner in this case because you're gonna think I'm crazy when I say this. Disney is saying that the husband cannot sue Disney in what is a very clear case of wrongful death because he once signed up for a free version of Disney Plus. A free trial version of Disney Plus. And because he once signed up for that, he scrolled through that whole stupid, the notes that none of us read. I repeat, none of us read those agreements. You're a sociopath if you do, but honestly, you're probably better off for it. And he just clicked, yeah, accept. And in that agreement, he basically forfeited his rights to ever sue Disney in perpetuity. So what does that mean? So if he had been on a roller coaster and let's say his head had been chopped off on said roller coaster at a Disney park, because he had signed up for a free trial of Disney at some time in the past, he now cannot sue? It's make it make sense. Make it make sense. Now, we don't know if this is going to hold in court. They're definitely claiming, this is their claim, to throw out the case. And essentially what this means is Disney wants to make it so that it's not an official lawsuit. They want it to be settled by an arbitration panel. And the reason that people go with lawyers and sue is because juries often award much more money because they're more compassionate and human and understand that when your wife dies at an allergen-free restaurant, you should get some coin for that because you're not getting your wife. Makes sense to me. So what Disney wants to do is say, you can't actually sue us in a formal court. So we're going to have to settle this with an arbitration panel, which is smaller. They award a lot less money. There's a lot less bad publicity, blah, 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 just trying to cover their asses. But instead, they made themselves look 495 times worse. It's just truly mind-blowing. I mean, we need to talk about this shit because this could happen to anyone. Like, how many agreements are we signing with Hulu, Netflix? Like, we buy our Apple little iPhones and we scroll through all that shit and just click accept. Like, if anyone has seen the episode of Human Centipede, the South Park episode of Human Centipede, if you know, you know. If you don't, you probably don't want to know at this point, honey, because it's graphic and I'm not going to go into a ton of details. But essentially, if you don't know what you're agreeing to, should we be signing up at all? I would argue that it's manipulative and insane that by utilizing a free subscription trial to an online streaming service, someone who's killed by an allergen in a park cannot sue. Those are completely different things. And also, it was her husband who signed up, not her. Anyway, this shit is batshit crazy, but we need to be following this case and seeing if the judge allows Disney to settle this as an arbitration panel, because they absolutely should not be. What's even crazier is this idea of it being in perpetuity. So if you've ever agreed to any of these terms or conditions or whatever for any of these big companies, like, now you can never come at them with anything, even if they're fucking you over. I'm enraged, I'm sad, I'm mad, and I'm angry. Those are the same, but I don't care. Anyway, that's my tea for today. My advice to you is read shit. Just dump all that shit that it's in that terms and conditions, put it into ChatGPT and say, summarize this for me. Is there any key points in here? And if there is, maybe we don't click. See you next week with more Frontline Reporting.